Yes, folks, it's Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. Do please, come on now, folks, like and subscribe. It really, really helps, you know. And today I'm going to talk about the block, the deterrent for smashing up cells, burning holes in plastic windows, and generally misbehaving in the prison. And the block, when my time, was the answer. And how did the block work? Let's talk about that a little bit, yeah? Because the block at Strangeways was on D1 landing. It had a solid roof. It was on the ones, but instead of it being an open aspect, as in E-wing and B-wing, it was a solid roof, and below that on the twos, so the twos had a floor, but below that was D1, and that was where the block was. And it consisted of about 50 cells, and it was partitioned off. One was the punishment unit, or the segregation unit, and the other was to hold inmates who were considered to be there for their protection. As I said before, people like Terry Sinclair, who was the handless corpse convicted killer, a massive drug dealer, multi-millionaire drug dealer, was held there. He had been found guilty at court and appealed this conviction, so was held there as a remand prisoner on D1. But the block itself consisted of a number of strong staff. The most notorious of these was known as Bootsy. Now, people have asked, well, why do they call him Bootsy? Because he kicked people. No, his name was Bootsy because he wore what's known as ammunition boots. And these are army-issue type boots with metal studs under the soles and on the heels. And the reason that they were called ammunition boots was because they were there to help the soldier grip the ground with his feet when he was carrying ammunition. Because for certain, the one thing you don't want to be doing when you're carrying a box of explosive ammunition is slip and fall over. Hence the ammunition boots. Well, Bootsy wore these on a regular basis in the prisons, and you could hear him stamping around the landings because you can imagine these things, and Bootsy probably weighed about 18 stone. People say, oh, what was he like, this Bootsy? A very nice man, actually. Very strong. He'd been a weightlifting champion. And as I say, he weighed about 18 stone, was about 6 foot tall. He wasn't a giant, but he was extremely powerful. I suffered at the time from a frozen shoulder. I don't know if you've ever had that. It's very painful. I knew what this was. It was kind of a neurological thing, like a nerve in my arm. And I said to Bootsy one day, I said, listen, would you do me a favour? His name was David. I said, would you do me a favour, David? Just give me a punch right on my arm there. I said, it's absolutely killing me. And I feel, that with a blow in that area, it might just dislodge the trapped nerve or whatever it is. He said, are you absolutely certain that you want me to do this? I said, well, I can't go on like this because I couldn't lift my arm up. It was that painful. So he said, all right, I'll do it. So I stood there while Bootsy teed off, and he gave me a punch that knocked me from one side of the landing on D1 to the other side of the landing. But I tell you what, it cured my frozen shoulder. It nearly broke it, by the way, but it was a tremendous blow. And one of the tricks that Bootsy was accredited with was when we get troublemakers on the landing who were taking down the block. They've been kicking off, attacking staff, smashing cells up, generally misbehaving. They were dragged down the block. And the method of taking somebody down the block was, first of all, you'd say to them, you're going to the block. No, I'm not going to the block. That's it. You get a taxi to the block. And your taxi to the block consisted of about 4 blokes, one on each limb, one on the arm, one on the legs. Yeah, uplifted off the floor, shoulder high, and run through the prison, down to D1, handed over to the staff there, and thrown into an empty cell. There were usually a couple of empty cells, on the block. Thrown into the cell where they'd have all the clothes completely removed from them. And when I say removed, they weren't like unbutton your shirt and let's do your trousers off. It wasn't like that at all. It was a case of grabbed by the shirt front, shirt off, vest off, trousers torn off, shreddies, woof, off, until they were stark bollock naked in the cell. It didn't matter how big they were, by the way. There was staff down there to do it, believe me. And then, unless he was actually in the cell at the time, Bootsy would walk in and say, "Now, you think you're a tough guy, so I'm going to give you the opportunity here. You've got 10 seconds, free 10 seconds to hit me." He said, "And at the end of that 10 seconds, I am going to give you the best beating you've ever had in your life." And that was their introduction to the block. I've seen a few take a swing at Bootsy and connect, but it didn't make any difference. You were wasting your time. I'll say this for you, he wasn't stupid, wasn't David. He had a few of the big boys outside just in case it went tits up. But hey, it didn't. And today, I never saw it go, and I saw some big bastards down there, really big. There was one guy, it's sad really, his name was George Wilkinson. Look him up, George Wilkinson. He was about 6'5", maybe 6'6", built like Tyson Fury, absolute giant of a man, who was in for terrorising the villagers where he came from in Cumbria. And he tried the same thing at Strangeways. It took about 6 blocks, I think it was, to actually get him down the block. But when he got down the block, there he was met with the usual instant removal of clothing and an introduction to the school bully, also known as Bootsy. And it kind of broke the man, because he was a big bastard and he was used to throwing his weight around. But down the block, you didn't win. And I saw George Wilkinson, it had twisted his mind, and he was standing. I went into his cell to take him medication one day because I was a hospital officer at the time. And I went down to take him medication one day, and he was standing in a bowl of water with a jug, an aluminium jug full of water, drinking gallons of water. I said, "Listen," I said, "you mustn't do this. You're going to damage your kidneys. You're going to hurt yourself doing this." And George Wilkinson didn't speak to me, just glowered down. He was enormous, glowered down going, oh, like that. It sounded a bit like Tommy Cooper. And eventually he collapsed, and they got him out of there. They took him to Walton Jail in Liverpool, HMP Liverpool, where he was transferred down there to the block. And the following day, they found George Wilkinson had died. I mean, his kidneys had given in. I did try and tell him, so did the doctors, he was seen by the doctors, and it wasn't the doing of the staff. Didn't torture him or anything. He just decided he couldn't take it anymore and drank all this water and damaged himself. That is what I believe happened to George Wilkinson, although he had met the school bully on the way. So that was a system of the block. It doesn't pertain today. They don't have that today. What they have is the hostess system. And it's handbags at dawn. Yeah, well, you can't have that, can you? That's why they've lost control of the landings. And I believe that the staff are terrified to actually deal with the ethnic minority groups, radicalised inmates who are acting in concert, that's together, to actually tackle the staff and to intimidate them, which they are apparently, with some success, so doing. But they certainly were not doing that at Strangeways when I was there. And of course there was a great deal of complaints about the block and the brutality. But people didn't want to go down there. So what's the answer if you don't want to go down the block? Don't kick off on the landings. Don't smash yourself up. Generally adopt a kind of quiet attitude and get on with your bird. But they don't do that these days, do they? They've got drugs, they've got gangs, they've got female staff, the hostess brigade, and there's no deterrent. What are you going to do? They didn't think about that, did they? They just handed over control of the prisons to the inmates on the landings, and now they can't deal with it. So we have a problem in the prisons, which is lack of control, and I do believe that they are going to deal with it one way or the other. And now I've been asked a special request. Don't forget to leave your comments. I like your comments, by the way. There we go. That's the song dinger. You've been warned. I did try and warn you, but I have a special request here. Somebody wants me to sing the Big Rock Candy Mountain. Anybody who's got a favourite song that they want destroying, you ask me and I'll give it a go. As long as it's not bloody opera or, what was it, somebody wanted the Barbie song. I'm not singing that shit. Anyway, I'm going to sing the Big Rock Candy Mountain for you now. Well, it's not exactly singing, is it? It's more like a formal mangling. This is the Big Rock Candy Mountain, the Burr Lives version. This is the John G. Sutton version. Like and subscribe. Have a look at my new book. You'll like that. In fact, I've got a copy here somewhere. Where is it? Come here, book. Come here, book. Come here, book. There it is. It's available on Amazon. HMP Manchester Prison Officer. This is Big Rock Candy Mountain. Oh, the buzzing of the bees and the cigarette trees, the soda water fountain, where the lemonade springs and the bluebird sings, in the Big Rock Candy Mountain. On a summer day, in the month of May, a burly bum came hiking down a shady lane through the sugar cane. He was looking for his liking. As he strolled along, he sang a song of the land of milk and honey, where a bum can stay for many a day, and he won't need any money. Oh, the buzzing of the bees and the cigarette trees, the soda water fountain, where the lemonade springs and the bluebird sings, in the Big Rock Candy Mountain. In the Big Rock Candy Mountain, the cops have wooden legs, the bulldogs all have rubber teeth, and the hens lay soft-boiled eggs. The farmers' trees are full of fruit, the barns are full of hay. I want to go where there ain't no snow, where the sleet don't fall and the wind don't blow, in the Big Rock Candy Mountain. Oh, the buzzing of the bees and the cigarette trees, the soda water fountain, where the lemonade springs and the bluebird sings, in the Big Rock Candy Mountain. There's a lake of gin, we can both jump in, and the handouts grow on bushes. In the new mown hay we can sleep all day, and the bars all have free lunches. Where the mail train stops and there ain't no cops, and the folks are tender-hearted, where you never change your socks and you never throw rocks, and your hair is never parted. Oh, the buzzing of the bees and the cigarette trees, the soda water fountain, where the lemonade springs and the bluebird sings, in the Big Rock Candy Mountain. Oh, a farmer and his son, they were on the run, to the hayfields they were bounding. Said the bum to the son, why don't you come to the Big Rock Candy Mountain? So the very next day they hiked away, the mileposts they were counting, but they never arrived at the lemonade tide on the Big Rock Candy Mountain. Oh, the buzzing of the bees and the cigarette trees, the soda water fountain, where the lemonade springs and the bluebird sings, in the Big Rock Candy Mountain. In the Big Rock Candy Mountain, you never change your socks, and the little streams of alcohol come trickling down the rocks. All the shacks all have to tip their hats, and the railway bulls are blind. There's a lake of stew and ginger ale too, and you can paddle all around in a big canoe in the Big Rock Candy Mountain. Oh, the buzzing of the bees in the cigarette trees, the soda water fountain, where the lemonade springs and the bluebird sings, in the Big Rock Candy Mountain. If you enjoyed that, I seriously expect to see you on the sick parade tomorrow, and I've got a syringe full of Largactyl ready to shoot in the upper outer quadrant of your backside. Tales from the Jails.